Hi friends, Dean here with Escape to Gaming. Today is a painful day for me. I've had a hard time. I did my last video, last week, which is proved to be a little too much for my right foot, which was very tender. So unfortunately, my enthusiasm in that video, and then later that day, as I had to drive myself even further to the hospital to get X-rays and then make it back home, proved to be the straw that broke the camel's back, so to speak, for my foot. My wife had her birthday on Halloween, but we celebrated it Saturday and Saturday night. So Saturday was filled with activities and running errands where my wife thankfully drove where I could relax a little bit, with pain pills. In fact, this rant is brought to you by my oxycodone pain medication, which is helping me to get through this particular day. I've got a new boot I had fitted for my foot last week. It finally came in. I went down yesterday. My wife drove me down and had it fitted and put it on, which has made work very painful. I worked a couple days this week. I have one more day of work, which I'm resuming tomorrow to finish up. Luckily, it's just kind of cleaning up and detailing out this interior, but this has been a most painful couple weeks. And so in a roundabout way, I guess I'm getting to this because I've had people ask me on multiple forums, Dean, we can see your friends on, PlayStation 4, and we see you haven't played the game yet. Have you had a chance to play the game? How's the game? How's the game so far? I've had just endless tweets, Facebook comments, people on YouTube, and no, I haven't played the game. And it's not because I don't want to. This is like an absolute torture to see this game right in front of me on my coffee table. Luckily, I've had this wonderful strategy guide, which I've actually enjoyed. This has been like my salvation, frankly, the last few days. I have to lay down on this couch. I lay on my side, and I can read a book with my reading glasses on, and it's quite enjoyable. I can sit here and watch my YouTube videos on my big Samsung, and it's enjoyable. Doped up. It's sitting at just the right angle for short periods of time, and it gets uncomfortable, and I have to rotate and kind of flip-flop to different sides of the couch and reposition myself. But this has been a torture session. So no, I haven't played this fantastic new game that I'm dying to play. I have it all installed. I won't watch any gameplay videos of it yet. I've watched virtually every review that's out on it and some other little incidental videos kind of talking about the importance of it, why they think it's a good game. I enjoy those, as long as there's no spoiler territory in them. And most of them have been pretty good about not having spoilers. I try to stay away from that because I really want to enjoy this game. But when you physically can't, just sitting here right now is painful. Sitting with my back against this couch is painful. Yesterday, I had extensive time, in my vehicle, with my wife driving, but still sitting in a seat, for long periods of time is painful. So I physically cannot even play this game. Now, what I may have to do is, and I've got a friend of mine that left back, I'll leave a link for his channel below. A good buddy of mine on YouTube has been following my channel right from the beginning. He donated this, I think it's called Mud Runners, Sprint Tires Mud Runners, which he had a digital code for. He wasn't really interested in the game. Dean, I've heard that from your last video, you really want that game. You're welcome to the code. So I eagerly took the code and thanked him very much for it. I'll have a link to his wonderful channel below. It looks like a great game. It's probably a slow enough paced game to where I could sit in small chunks, 20, 30 minutes at a time, or maybe more, who knows. Could probably sit for something like that. It's a little bit more relaxing, and I guess more brainy. I can sit and kind of calculate. It's more of a slow paced sim. I could go back and continue my abduction game now that I've got my inverted camera angle set up, which I actually I figured out how to get into the next section. I've already kind of a ways into that and am enjoying that game quite a bit. I just need to get back to it. I've been away from it so long, I got to try to kind of get back into the spirit of it. But this is all I've thought about for all year. This is all I've talked about. And so for me not to be able to play a game and then watch other people put the game down. I've had people on social media complaining because I just found out it's got 3 hours of cutscenes. That's 3 hours that these devs could have put towards more gameplay. I'm not going to buy a game like that. Well, what do you want? It's a linear story-based game. Is the only thing that matters to you is PC specs and having the highest resolution, everything's going to be widescreen, 4K, 120 frames a second. Is that really what's important? You just want a shooting gallery? I can put in, T2 on the Sega Genesis or the old PlayStation and play just a shooting gallery of the old Terminator. It's kind of an arcade shooter. I mean, is that all that matters to you? Is just having just a mindless shooting gallery, or can't you appreciate a good story with fantastic characters that people put a tremendous amount of time and thought in developing a story, a world, and a premise that's worth playing and visiting? To me, that's what it's all about. When I hear people complain about the game because it's got hours of cutscenes, I don't get it. I talked about this in one of my other earlier rants here about watching movies, and some people just jump to their favorite action scenes, but they're taking the scene out of context. The scene has even more impact because of the slow, moments in those movies. It's the same with music. It's not so much the musical notes that makes music interesting, it's the space between the notes that really makes the music. Sometimes it's the quiet parts. It's the quiet exploration and the cutscenes. It gives you a break from the gameplay. And it also builds a story that makes you even hungrier to go return back to it or to see it through. That's what propelled me through the New Order from beginning to end, because it was so compelling. I couldn't wait to see where the game was going to go next. I couldn't wait to see if BJ was going to make it or not. I mean, it was really very compelling. The choices you had to make along the way, the villains. I mean, it easily was my game of the year for, whatever year that came out a couple years back, because it was such a wonderful story. I've already seen a couple reviews where they've just picked the game apart. They don't like the social justice warrior dynamics in it. A couple people have mentioned. They don't like the characters. They don't like the fact they gotta still hit a button. They gotta stop to pick up ammo or pick up a gun or something. They don't even understand why that mechanic is put. You think the developers didn't weigh all this out? You don't think they had board meetings and talked about whether they should have a button pressed to pick up an item? They obviously did it for pacing. They did it so you had to think twice before running out and grabbing something. In real life, you'd have to go down and put effort into bending down to picking something up. But again, they'll just complain. Endless complaints, like mechanics are all that matter. Like just the mindless shooting gallery is all that matters. What good are graphics? What good is volumetric lighting and God rays and particle effects and 4K resolution, or whether it's native or whether it's upscaled, checkerboarded? Who cares? As long as it's an experience you can get into and enjoy. That's what makes it. I've heard a lot of complaints about this new about the Blade Runner film that just came out, which I can't see because of my goddamn condition. I can't sit for 3 hours in a theater. Even with these, it becomes to the point to where the return on my investment's not going to be great, and it won't be enjoyable. It won't be enjoyable for my wife to have to sit and put up with an old grumpy, irritable person next to her that's in a straitjacket. I have to wait for that movie to come out on DVD. I would give anything to see a movie on a big screen again. My days of movie, I saw Mad Max Fury Road, that's it. I'm done with movies. I can't sit in a theater anymore. So to me, now I really savor the movies. Now I savor these experiences even more because they're being denied to me for limitations temporarily. Now they are temporary limitations, because I was doing better. I was playing an hour to 3 hours of my Xbox 360 games at a time. That's unprecedented. That's a good sign. I have to do it with drugs, but it's still a good sign. My God, the complaints about the pacing of the game and the stories. They don't like this, they don't like that. Look, that's what art is. You're going to go into an art gallery, go into a movie theater, you're going to see even some of my favorite movies. I can count many things on one hand or two that I don't like. There's characters in the movies I'm not going to like, or the TV show. I'm watching, just my wife and I have like one episode left of this Stranger Things 2. We've been really enjoying it. It's a little way out there. It's kind of crazy, the premise of it and everything, but it's fun. It's done in good fun. And there's a lot to love. I like the 80s setting and music. I was there, so I lived all that, and actually was a much older, bigger kid, or person back at that time, really an adult in the 80s when all that took place. But I remember it well, and it's fun. I just see it for what it is. There's characters and things in there that I think are kind of stupid or way out or whatever, but it's all in all, it's art. It's subjective. I can take the good with the bad and enjoy it. Doesn't mean I have to like every TV show or TV series out there on Netflix. It doesn't mean that I have to watch every movie. It doesn't mean I have to like every game. This new Assassin's Creed Origins looks outstanding. It looks like a wonderful open world game. But for me, I'm not a fan of the franchise. I don't really like that setting and area. I guess geographically, I don't care for the area, that time period, whether it's there or across the globe somewhere. It's just not my particular thing. But if you like that, that's great, you know. I left a comment on someone's video the other day, and about he was doing impressions of this new Paris, excuse me, this Paris thing. I got this boot on, by the way. I just got it yesterday fitted. I'll show a picture of it here. So this thing is uncomfortable. And for me to play a game, I have to sit upright, especially an action-packed FPS game like Doom or like this new Wolfenstein. I have to lean forward with a controller, and it puts pressure on my foot, which right now is just like there's glass shards going through the side of my foot. It's in so much pain until this fracture heals. I got 6 weeks I have to have this thing on, and yet I have to go to work tomorrow. Now, thank God, I'm actually kind of postponed a big job that I had, that I put off. I may lose the job. It's a tremendous amount of money. I've been whining and dining this guy for 2 months, and I'll probably have to forgo it because of a limitation. I could use that money. That was my, Christmas money and everything, but it is what it is. So, again, getting off topic here. You have to forgive me. My mind is, I'm just exhausted. I haven't been sleeping well. I'm really tired. But I want to get this rant out to talk about these issues as well as have a little update at the end as to what you can expect in the near future here from me, yours truly. But I just see a myriad of complaints, and people have an inability to see the fun in the game. It doesn't mean that every game is going to appeal to me. Like, my friend mentioned, I left a comment on a friend's video, did impressions of this Paris thing. And a lot of those, and I watched the trailers. I just, in a few minutes, I kind of went through and gandered at, a lot of the new trailers for the new up-and-coming IPs or games. And some beautiful, they have this kind of a samurai, beautiful oriental thing with fields and gorgeous god rays and volumetric lighting and all that stuff. It looks gorgeous. It's just not my cup of tea. I'm not into those kind of movies. The Last Samurai with Tom Cruise, I think it was called. I didn't go to see that. It's not my thing. It's just not my deal. I did like the Yakuza with Robert Mitchum, more of a modern day Japanese mafia thing. I find those stories a little bit more interesting, more modern type stuff, or like the Blade Runner, let's say, or something that's in the future, post-apocalyptic sci-fi, that kind of thing. But I'm very particular with the things that I like. But that game, just for me, I'm not into. It's probably a hack and slash, I would imagine, where it's about a samurai with a sword. So it's just not my thing. But this guy's like, well, Dean, because I kind of mentioned in the comments, really not much for me that I saw in all of this conference, but it looks like there's something for everyone. I'm sure I'll find something this year or next year that I can enjoy. I wasn't too worried about it. And I try to leave it at kind of a proactively as a positive comment. And I thank my friend for doing a good impressions of he did a good job, doing an overview of all the stuff that's coming out, and certainly the things that he's looking forward to. He was into the new Spider-Man thing. He's really excited. That's his favorite comic book character. But it's not mine. I personally don't like Spider-Man. I've never liked that a guy spits out a web and he slings from one building. It's crazy. I'm not into the most comic book stuff, per se. Batman is more like it, even though that's way out. But it's like it's grounded in realism, grappling hooks, and scientific cutting-edge gadgets, and the Batmobile and technology and stuff like that. More of a kind of a futuristic, modern-day dark private detective. I kind of like that aspect. So the Batman appeals to me. The Punisher seems like it's relatively grounded in realism, as way out as it is in the characters. But like the Spider-Man is just not my thing. I've never played any of the games. I'm not really into it. But my friends are excited for that. That's great. They should support that game. They should buy it if they want to see more of them from that studio. Certainly buy it. And even that game is getting picked apart. They don't like the looks of the main character. It's like ruining it for him, and it's like, it's art. Just take the good or the bad. Look, I hated a lot of the things about Need for Speed The Run. I really did not like the characters in the game at all. The premise was solid. I thought the basic story was fine. I just couldn't like any of the characters in the game, but it didn't mean it's a bad game. It's my favorite game out of 20-something Need for Speed games, believe it or not, because of what it does right. I've learned to take the good with the bad. Now, they showed in this thing a new The Last of Us 2. Apparently Joel's gone or he's dead now, so it's all about... I never finished The Last of Us, so I got a ways into it, maybe a third of the way into it. But I never played it all the way through. For whatever reason, I don't know why. Oh, my phone's ringing off the hook here. Sorry, excuse me, let me shut this off. And let me shut the volume off in this damn thing. I don't like interruptions. I thought I had it muted, but I guess not. Now it's muted. There we go. So, you know, and the game doesn't... It's all about Ellie and, you know, whether she's single or a lesbian. I've heard all kinds of crazy stuff. People right away think it's got to be a dyke thing and all this. To me, I don't know. I don't know the characters. I guess there was some kind of... Ellie had a love interest or something with a female character in the DLC, I think. I mean, I don't know much about it, but when I looked at the thing, it looked like in this intense trailer, it's trying to be real edgy and, you know, hardcore with a, you know, very realistic graphic kind of torture scenes and stuff. And personally, I don't mind those. I don't have a problem with the gore or those kind of scenes, but if the game is all around a girl, I got to play again as a girl with another girl, and as a role player myself, it doesn't do it for me. I don't care how great the writing is. I don't care how perfect the graphics and flawless and smooth the gameplay is. It doesn't mean it's a bad game. I certainly won't put it down, but just for my own interest, I just have no interest in the game at all. It just doesn't do it for me. So I already get people that are agitated, like, because I don't like the games that they like. Well, Dean, you know, you're overlooking some good games here. You got this Last of Us game, you got this new Samurai game. Well, that's great. Look, if you want to play those games, believe me, if you want to see more of them, buy the games, support them, and enjoy them. Enjoy them. That's why I say at the end of every one of these little vignette things that I do it, enjoy your games, and I sincerely mean it. That's why I do this, because I enjoy my games, whether I enjoy it now or a month from now. I'm going to wait. This is too important a game to put in for 15, 20 minutes and then be tortured and I have to shut it off, and then all I'm thinking about is I want to get back to it. And I see myself pushing myself too far to enter into this escapism, and it's going to cost me, and it could set me back to where I can't work or can't play even longer. So I got to heal all this stuff, unfortunately. I wish it was otherwise, but I've got to rest up, and I'm going to have to play that game when I can. I may have to play Abduction in small chunks, and 20, 30-minute chunks, as I can. That one I can probably play laying down, and I may have to return to that. Or that Mud Runners looks perfect, like a really slow-paced game. I watched Carrick at ACG did one of I think the most funnest gameplay videos. I watched it the other night in my limited capacity, and it was very enjoyable. That was almost as good as playing the game, watching him kind of learn the controls and see what he likes and doesn't like about it, talking about the land changing and I guess a deformation of the landscape and how you go through it. It was fascinating. I can see why Al loved that game as a hardcore 4x4 person. I had 4x4s and did a lot of that kind of driving up in the mountains and out in the desert, so it's a lot of fun. So I could have fun with that one, probably laying down. Rogue Troopers, I could try to play. It's going to be tough. What happens is the action starts getting hot and heavy, and I find myself sitting up, and then I put more strain and intensity in my back. So right now, only because of a marathon of work, I've been off month after month, and I'm making good money, and I'm catching up from the hole I put myself in last year. But the downside is I can't play the games that I love to the same degree that I used to. So to me, it's because of that I'm even more frustrated when I see jaded reviews. There's another huge reviewer I used to follow a few years back, and who loves the Wolfenstein franchise. My God, you just ripped it apart. He says he praises the gameplay in it to a certain degree, but rips apart the pacing, the story, and do we need these gratuitous, death scenes and all that stuff? It didn't make sense. He doesn't understand the mix of comedy. To me, from everything I've seen, it looks like it has a flawless balance of comedy and serious drama and commentary on, the world itself and Nazis and fascism. It's a fascinating game, and it looks like it's on a high wire act, a fine balance of trying to juggle all those things perfectly in a good science fiction based, game that has some realistic World War II aspects to it, but obviously some way out sci-fi stuff, crazy characters, America falling and wild ragtag resistance movement. BJ, I like how he's portrayed. People are picking apart. They don't want to see his childhood and the horrors he went through. Look, I grew up with those kind of horrors. I'm almost afraid of the emotional response that I'll probably have in some of those scenes because I didn't have a great childhood and I had a lot of abuse and saw a lot of hardcore shit as a kid. No offense to my family that's still alive today. And again, I know if they could go back and change things, they would. Maybe they did the best they could. Maybe their childhood wasn't so great. And that's why they kind of passed the savings on to me. But either way, it wasn't a lot of fun in Dean's childhood. There was no video games. There was not a lot of toys. It was a lot of somber rules and regulations and things that I had to adhere to and things that I had to go and be involved with that I wasn't into. I really didn't understand, but I had no choice in it. So it was a choking and suffocating childhood through much of it, but I did the best that I could. And I'm still a big kid today because of that. I'm still catching up for something that I never had, that many of you have taken for granted as kids, with getting your Sega Genesises and Super NESs and PS2s for Christmas, and all the games and everything is magically provided for you and all the fun and entertainment you want. I had to go out and I had to work for many, many years before I could even realize much of that. So, and there's a lot of people that have it much worse off than I had it. So it's good to have a balance and to see things in a broader perspective. It's easy to judge me because I don't like a particular type of game, but try to understand that we all have our perspectives, that we all have our positions in life, things that we believe in. We've got core value systems, and sometimes a game is either in alignment with that or it's grossly out of alignment with it. Some of the social justice warrior stuff that was behind the scenes and the Mass Effect Andromeda, I took a lot of flack over my perspective on that too. It was a little too much for me and some of the people that made that game, that with some of their very overt attitudes towards people like me that are racist against me because I'm white. I mean, I can't help the fact that I'm white. And I'm not going to apologize for it either. I have no guilt over being white, and they shouldn't have guilt over being whatever race they are. We're all just people. I just want to be, to me, they're all Americans, or we're people on this rock. We're all in the same place. We should focus on that instead of focusing on division, whether it's division in games, division in race, division, again, starting to mention the Blade Runner film. A lot of people were shocked they hadn't seen the original one, so they went back to watch the original, and they couldn't get into it. I don't understand. It's just terrible. So slow paced. My God, I just hate it. I just want it over. And it's like, wow, I can't fathom it. It's one of the greatest top 10 movies of all time for me. I saw it 5 times at the theater. It's all I thought about because it opened up doors of perception in my mind. It made me think about what is being a human being? What is really important? As a younger person, when I saw that, a teenager, whatever it was, that was a very influential film to me. And I've read more of those of the books from that author, of what's his name, Philip Dick, that wrote the Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep, which is a fantastic book. It's very removed from the movie, once you've seen the film first, but still, I'm fascinated with those concepts. So to me, that I have a high reverence for that. For people that just I couldn't get into it. It was terrible, I mean, everyone has their own taste. I don't like every movie that's out. I certainly don't like every video game that's out. But it's amazing how vocal people are with things that they don't like. To me, the only time I'm really vocal is if it's like an online-only game, like the last Need for Speed game. Yeah, you're going to see a variety, a rash of tweets in Facebook posts on why I feel we should have more offline games, so I can play the game when I want, not just when the servers are on, or when my internet connection's good, which is not great. We're lucky we've been getting through the last couple Stranger Things episodes, because the other night right in the middle of an episode, it went out, and we had to wait. We had to go in, I think it was the other room, and for some reason the streaming is a little bit better on the other TV, so we had to finish it in the bedroom. on that via that. There's a Blu-ray player there that's closer to the router, so I don't know if it's a router problem. We keep getting new routers. We've tried everything, but the streaming, especially through the PlayStation 4 Pro, has not been good. And it's not great through my Xbox 360 either. I don't know what it is. So we've tried moving the router. We've tried new routers. It's just very problematic. So for me to play a server-based game, I'm not into them. So I fight for offline games that I own. I can play now or 20 years from now. So I'm very opinionated and very vocal about the things that I like, but I'm not going to put down Assassin's Creed because I'm not into it. It looks like a great game. I can see why my friends can sink some serious time into that. I'm glad that they have those games. Or the Spider-Man game, if you want to play that. Or this new Samurai game that looks gorgeous. It's a beautiful looking game. It's a piece of art in and of itself from just looking at the little bit of CGI type, cutscenes or footage that I saw. It looks gorgeous, and I could see people liking the game. It's just not my cup of tea. But I'm not going to put it down, and chastise people for doing it or bitch about it because it's got 3 hours of cutscenes, God forbid. I just want to hack people up. Hack and slash. I don't want these cutscenes. They miss the forest of the trees. There's whole channels on YouTube. They're just devoted to PC specs. Everything's going to be the greatest. If a game isn't optimized perfectly for their system of choice, my God, boy, they let you know. And it's like they build their whole channels around it. So I guess for other PC guys or into to me it's like hot rodders trying to get the best 0 to 60 times. I mean, most Challenger owners or Mustang owners, we're all within a fraction of the same 0 to 60 times. Whether you can shave off a fraction of a second, to me is irrelevant. There was a time where that was important to me. When I was into drag race, it was important to get a car to go from a 12 seconds down into the 11 second bracket. That was a big thing. Now I could care less. It's a fun car to drive. I don't have anything to prove. But for people that they got to have the optimal specs so they can sleep at night feeling they have the best. That's important to them. I mean, I don't get it, but to me, I play games to escape. Whether I do it on a PlayStation 1 or I do it on a PlayStation 4 Pro or even on a PC, if I could figure it out and could play PC games, which someday, who knows, maybe I will. It's all about escapism. It's not about max settings. It's not about anti-aliasing and the anti-aliasing looks like shit. I can't play this game. And it's like, dude, you're missing a wonder. That's why I like consoles. I don't want to worry about that. That detracts from my immersion. I just want to put the game in and play it and take back a wonderful experience through my couch here and my TV and a controller. That's what's important to me. Everyone is going to have their own thing. Like I mentioned before, I play for role playing. People go, well, Dean, guys said because I'm always saying there's no driving racing sims for me that are offline. Everyone's like, well, dude, there's Project Cars, the first one. And I might get the second one because at least there's American cars now, and now they get Corvettes and some Mustangs. Unfortunately, there's no Dodge products, which I really like. But the first one had they had 1 or 2 Mustangs, which I'm not a big fan of. So there's nothing in it for me. So yeah, technically I can be driving cars and getting my times down and getting my lap times perfected. Mechanically, it's a sound game. But it's not for me. I play games for role-playing. I play them to drive the cars that I like to drive, that if I had the money and could afford, I can drive. Or maybe the ones that I can afford to buy and drive, whether I own them or not. I like to see those in the game. That's why I like Forza so much, and even Gran Turismo, is that there are a lot of muscle cars, new and old, that I personally like. That's why I haven't bought the first Project Cars game. There's no cars for me in it. So people, again, they miss, it's all about the mechanics. It's like a mindless twitch-based mechanics. If it's all you're into is hand-eye coordination, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, my whole world is that. I'm a painter. I painted this house in a week before we moved in. I had very little time. And it's flawless. If you look, it's all freehand. I do all the cutting at the top of the walls by my crown molding up here. I have to use meticulous hand-eye coordination. Excuse me. I have to get my old man reading glasses now to get up there to cut everything in flawlessly. Because when I leave my job, my signature of my work is fine quality. You're going to get the best interior or exterior paint job imaginable. It'll be flawless. The caulking that I do, the preparation work, I put extra time and care into it. So my whole world is hand-eye coordination already. And then I'm driving to the jobs, and I take pride in being a clean, methodical driver. I drive to perfection. I don't wander all over the road and other people's lanes. I mean, there's a time to get wild and crazy. And even that I do under, master control. I'm very controlled. The minute I start getting a little wheel spin, I'll back off and keep the car. I try to keep the traction. That's why I'm not into drifting. Drifting defies real road racing. Road racing is you're on the edge of traction. You want to maintain that traction, not go over it. Drifting is like just about being obnoxiously and going, and it's fun. It's fun. Sorry about the temporary interruption. I had someone that showed up 2 hours early to install my new windshield in my truck, so I was right in the middle of a point, and then someone knocked on the door. So I had to stop this, download everything I had to this point to see where my train of thought was and go back. It was like a long process. But anyway, I'm back on it. But my point is that I was making, now that I've had time to review it, is that my life is about hand-eye coordination and precision and all that. So when I play a game, to me, it's not about mechanics. It's about getting lost. It's about an adventure. It's kind of an interactive experience, like a film, but taking it beyond. That's why I love video games so much. That's why I love the concept of virtual reality. And when I can afford it, I didn't have the windshields to buy. There's my Xbox One X and a couple games just for not paying for my windshield. It's so expensive to maintain life. I mean, I had a big crack going through the length of my windshield, and it was illegal. I had to change it before the highway patrol pulls me over. But anyway, it's always something. Life is just filled, with challenges. But at the end of the day, that's why I play my games. It's about escapism. I want to get lost in a great adventure like this. This game means so much to me. I won't even start it until I know that I have a block of time where I can play it for at least 3 hours at a time, at least. I have to get into it and play through an entire level and see a cutscene and then maybe segue into the next one. I don't want to play a few minutes and stop, and I don't know where I'm at. And to me, it just breaks the immersion. I did that with LA Noire. I waited a whole year before I finally sat down and played it, but it was one of the greatest adventures I ever had. And that game's coming up soon here on the 14th. I think Need for Speed Payback will be out next week. Some people are playing it on EA's Origins right now, but I got the deluxe version, which I think is coming out next week, so I'm excited about that. And that should be the last newer game that I'm going to be getting, along with LA Noire. So, again, everyone's different. We play games, and that's really the whole point of my rant is, why do you play games? A lot of my friends, and I got friends that just play nothing but retro stuff, or like the Nintendo games, and they love playing them on the Wii U and the Switch, and to them, they're in absolute heaven. That's total bliss for them to play those fun Mario-type games, or to them that maybe there's something that they find soothing and pleasant and wonderful in that, and that's great. If that's what you're into, that's wonderful. Other people, it's a really heavy RPG thing, or Final Fantasy games, and that's great too. Or it's Wastelands 2, or XCOM, or a real strategic game where you're racking your brain to make the right choices with permadeath and all that. I mean, we all have our genres, and I like a lot of those genres. I like certainly more than others. I'm more into FPS games, shooters, third-person shooters, adventure games, Rage, something like Spec Ops: The Line, really good story-based game, but a good shooter too. I mean, with good visuals and all that. I like all of those things, but I don't like all the same games that everyone else does, and I don't want to push just the games I like. Not everyone's into a game like this. Not everyone is into fighting Nazis or the violence and the over-the-top, Quentin Tarantino kind of style that this game has, And I've had people who picked apart the New Order because they didn't like the strange random sex scenes in it. It's like, I watched old movies like Heavy Metal where it's all about violence and sex. It's kind of a sci-fi trope, let's say. And so for me, that's why that game works so well. And I liked it just the way it was. I didn't have one bone of contention to pick with that game. I thought it was perfect. Everything I've played of the first half of the Old Blood is flawless. I had no qualms with it. And I've even seen a complete game playthrough of the rest of the Old Blood, and the rest of the game, from what I've seen, looks great. I don't have any issues with it. I like the end of Rage. I thought it wrapped up fine. It's a little abrupt, yes. I mean, if I had my druthers, would I wish that they had made a more elaborate cutscene or perhaps a more satisfying ending of Rage? Possibly. But you know what? It's done. It is what it is. You have a choice. You can accept it and just enjoy it or not. But to go on and just rip it apart in reviews, or to put the game down that you haven't even played because it's heavy cutscenes. I mean, I've never played these Metal Gear Solid games that I supposedly have like hours of cutscenes. That seems almost a little too heavy, but hey, the games are well loved and received, so they must be doing something right. There must be something in there for people to enjoy those games. So I'm not going to pick those games apart. Look, if you like playing Metal Gear Solid, I have my own reasons. To me, I felt they ripped off the Snake Plissken character, which I love, from John Carpenter. John Carpenter's a gamer, and he didn't even care. Oh, whatever. That's cool. It's all right. At least it's a form of flattery. They like my work enough to kind of steal my Snake character or whatever. So for that reason, out of loyalty to a director that doesn't even know me, I felt off-putting about playing those Metal Gear games. But if my friends enjoy them, they had a wonderful stealthy experience playing them, or you like the kind of crazy way out cutscenes that I guess those games are known for, that's great. I'm not going to put them down. It's just not my thing, It's not my cup of tea per se, but that's fine. So we all have things that we like, and I'd rather focus on the positives than the negatives. It just drives me nuts to see a game it has a chance of doing good. I hope it does well, because I'd like to see the final. I think they're going to make a trilogy. They want to make 3 of these BJ games, these Wolfenstein games, and I want to see the next one. If it doesn't sell well, we probably won't get another one. And that could be the end of Machine Games. They're like one of the last bastions of great gaming left. Bethesda's really knocked it out of the park. This Evil Within 2 and Prey. They're trying. They're really trying to offer great games with great looking, done on the id Tech, 6 engine. They're going for quality. They're going for really a polish and good storytelling, and I commend them for that. And that's why I'm going to try to support those studios, give more of those types of experiences. But you let me know in the comments how you feel. Again, we all put in the comments why you play games. Kind of name the genres and type, whether it's platformers, you like Rayman Legends and Gex and just games like that, just little platformers, or Fez or things like that, or something like that Meat Boy game that did very well off Xbox Live Arcade. I can see why people like those games. I like the Trials HD and Trials Evolution and Trials Fusion. To me, I like those kind of motorcycle balancing acts. They're really fun, very addictive, and really challenging. And it's fun. I mean, so I do like some platformers, and I like puzzle games like Myst, certainly. And of course, I love my shooters and my racing games. But I'm not into the cutesy Mario Kart ones. But for my friends that love those little Mario Kart deals, or like to play the SSX game where they can play as the different characters in the Mario that put the different heads on the skiers or whatever, or snowboarders, that's cool. If you're into those games, that's great. I'm not going to rip those things apart in social media because it's not my cup of tea. But I see so much nitpicking negativity, and it's no wonder why. And then people feel like they're uncool if they go against the grain of whatever's the in thing or popular. So I mean, right now it looks like this game is doing well. It's gotten really good reviews. A lot of people see something good in it, and you know what? I'm going to love the game. I'm going to love this game. I don't care what it throws at me. I don't care what social justice warrior that might be in the game. It doesn't matter to me. I am prepared to enjoy the game, and I'm going to enjoy it for exactly what it is all the way through. It's that simple. I'm not looking to rip the game apart. I'm not looking to find fault with it. I want the game to do well. This is like my most beloved franchise. All the Wolfenstein games are my favorite games. They are all in my top 10. The 2009 one, Escape to Castle, they are in my top games of all time. Wolfenstein: The New Order, another one. They're all top 10 video games. It's my favorite franchise, so naturally I'm going to love it. Maybe like the Mad Max thing, maybe I have more of a propensity for those types of games, so I'm going to give it more of a chance than I might something else. That could be the case. Mad Max I like too. There are many things about it that I wasn't thrilled with, But at the end of the day, I liked it for exactly what it does, exactly the way it is. I could do with a few less bugs and weird frame rate drops and audio glitches and stuff. But you know what? It's a big open world game. It's very ambitious and it works. For me, it works. So put in the comments the games you like. What games do you like? What genres? What's important to you? Is it all about PC specs and graphics and high frame rates, or are you more or less indifferent to that? Naturally, we like to have it. If I have a choice between playing the Tomb Raider on the Xbox 360 at 30 frames a second or playing the remastered definitive edition at 60 frames a second on the PS4, I'm going to want to play the higher frame rate. So I appreciate higher frame rates in fine graphics and fidelity, certainly. I love my 4K TV and HDR and watching, my Stranger Things in HDR on my 4K TV. It's wonderful. It's a beautiful experience. I love it. I'm not going to pretend I don't like it, but I don't want to feel I have to take it to extremes. Like every game I play has to be 4K and the highest frame rates. I just go with the flow, man. I just go with the flow. To me, I'm just going to get lost in the adventure. To me, the adventure and the escapism and the story is first and foremost. Was it something that I would write? Perhaps not, but you know what? It's a free world. If you don't like the game, go out and create your own Wolfenstein game. Good luck. I mean, there's a lot to it. At the end of the day, it's a miracle that these games get made. It's a miracle that they get produced at all. There's so many decisions and choices to make that are put in these games that we quickly dismiss like, meh, it's all right, not my thing. You guys like it. I mean, I guess it's okay. I mean, I'm not interested. I'm going to wait and get the Game of the Year edition. Then I'm going to wait an extra year and wait till it's $20 and I'll buy it. Well, good for you. I hope that works out for you. In the meantime, let's hope the studio doesn't go under, so we'll get more of these. I see a very lackadaisical, kind of an indifferent, jaded attitude towards a lot of games today, and I find it very distasteful. And I've stopped following those channels that kind of cater to those nitpicking, overly critical types. I think there's a time and a place for good criticism of games, and the minutiae of games and performance and what works and what doesn't is fascinating to study, but I don't want to base my whole enjoyment on a game on ripping it apart. That's not my thing. So, but anyway, that's that. I hope some of you enjoyed my last video. I talked about delving into doing more road trip videos and maybe having some car related content on there. I'm going to try to do that so right off the bat you can tell via the thumbnail it's a car related video. And that way you can watch it or not watch it. You don't feel you have to watch every video of mine. If you don't like my escapist cinemas or I'm still coming up with a name for this new, and I got to come up with the intro, for this new series of car related videos. And I won't do them too often, but who knows? I might do them once a week. I might do them once a month. I don't know. I kind of go with whatever whim and fancy that I feel at the moment. And of course, my ability at the time. Right now, I may not be able to do a driving video. I'm going to have one coming up. I may have to do something where it's more of a slideshow right now because I can't really drive with this foot. I tried to park the car in the driveway last night with my boot on. And it's a miracle I didn't go right through the wall into my house. It's not easy. So this is going to be a challenge. Functioning, and then on top of that, I'm going next week for some very extensive, like hardcore dental work done from an oral surgeon. It's going to be very expensive and very complex, and I don't even know if I'm going to be able to talk for a while. So this could be one of the last rants I'm going to be doing for a while. I'm going to try to squeeze another one out this weekend if I can, but I do appreciate the positive feedback that I did get off my last video. I know some people aren't into cars, and that's fine. It's something that I'm passionate about. I don't like to, put too much of it into my shows or into my gaming-related channel, but I would like to have more of that content in there, and I will. But I'll let people know up front what it is. That way, if you don't want to watch it, no hard feelings, you don't have to watch it. And then I've got new friends that aren't really into gaming, but they kind of like the car stuff. That way they can watch it too, and it's easier than me starting a whole new channel with no subscribers. And it took me years, 5 years, to get this one up and going to even a small, amount of viewers that I have now. So I don't want to start that process all over again. Who knows where I'll be 5 years from now. So, but I appreciate your support. This has been a very challenging time when I see so many games that I have right now. I feel guilty that I haven't got to, and then I get this wonderful experience that I'm just dying to get to. I really am wanting to savor this like I know that I will, and I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait on this one. I'm watching reviews because I'm very curious to see how people. I just don't want to see any spoilers or hear anything about it. But I'm having friends that are playing this, and it's just great to see them having a good time with this and other games. And really, that's what this is all about. So, thanks for another long-winded rant. I wanted to do this. I just I'm home today. I got to work one more day. I'm going to try to get through tomorrow as best I can. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I got to do it to get paid. I really need the money, especially now, and I'm hoping to get to this soon. But just knowing that it's here right on my coffee table is enough. And when the time's right, I'll play this, and I know I'm going to love it because I love gaming. I'm in gaming to find the fun in games, and I hope you are too. So thank you so much for watching, my friends. I really do appreciate the support, kind words, and enjoy those games. And enjoy your weekend ahead. That's what it's all about. Let's just enjoy life and have a good time and not nitpick so much. All right, man, thanks.